This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, and especially at the moment, I do hope you're well. Now then, as I've mentioned before, in this line of work, being a guitar teacher, things seem every now and again to go in phases where I'll get several requests or inquiries about the same thing, be that a particular guitar solo or a element of music theory or a particular scale or something like along those lines, something that people want to learn about. It tends to not just come where there's one person asking about it, there'll be kind of several, and that's been the case recently with the caged system, that method of mapping out the neck of the guitar in pentatonic shapes. I've had a few lesson requests about that lately, so I thought I'd do a video about it. I've done videos on this topic before, but it was a while ago, and I like to think I've got a little bit better at making videos since then, so I thought it was, an opportune moment to revisit the topic. So coming up next, you're going to hear me having a bit of a jam. It is the weekend after all, and there's a tradition to observe. I'm having a bit of a jam over a backing track using the caged system, and then straight after the solo you're going to hear me explaining the way my mind was thinking as I was moving from pattern to pattern to keep up with the chord changes in the backing track. Here it is. Okay, so the first thing to do is to take a look at the chord sequence we're going to be playing over. Here it is, and the first thing to notice about this sequence is that you can't really sit on one pentatonic scale all the way through. You could kind of get away with E minor pentatonic until you got to that B flat chord, and then it's going to start sounding a little bit odd, a little bit funny, and just basically wrong. So we have to take the chord changes into account in some way or other. And this is where the caged system really does become a useful tool to understand and to be able to use. Now, the first thing to realise about the caged system is that it's referencing major chord shapes. So we've got a minor chord in there. The first chord is E minor. So we need to start thinking of that as a major chord in order to really sort of apply it to the caged system. So I'm not thinking in terms of turning E minor into E major. What you need to do is understand that every minor chord has a relative major chord, and vice versa. Every major chord has a relative minor chord. And if you're not sure of that relationship, here it is right here on the screen that you can see. So if you just press pause and screenshot that, you can make sure you never forget it. So E minor, what is the relative major of that? Well, we can see that E minor is G major. So what I need to start doing, let's assume we're playing around the 12th fret area of the neck. What I need to figure out is how would I play a G major chord on that part of the neck? And you do it like this. And here's the magic trick that you do with the caged system. Okay, every chord shape, every C, A, G, E and D chord shape has a pentatonic shape that surrounds it. And the G major chord shape, the one you can see here, has this pentatonic shape surrounding it. Okay, so you would use that pentatonic shape at the 12th fret for either a G major or E minor tonality or chord. Now the next chord, the one that came after the E minor, was A major, so we just ask ourselves the same question once again. If I was going to play an A major on this part of the neck, how would I do it? Well, the answer is like this. That's an A major chord up at the 12th fret area. So, once again, surrounding that chord shape, there is a pentatonic pattern, which looks like this. So that's the shape you would use over the A major chord. Next up we go to C major, and again, ask yourself the question, how would I play a C major chord on this part of the neck up the 12th fret? And the answer would be like this. That's the shape. And, as always, there is a pentatonic pattern surrounding that shape. And that's what you would use over the C major chord. Coming next, we have a D chord. So, as always, you ask yourself the question, which chord shape would I use on this part of the neck in order to play a D major chord? And there's the answer right there. And once again, there is a pentatonic pattern which encapsulates that little chord shape. It looks like this. Next up, we have the G major chord. Well, we already know what's going on there because we use that G major chord to reference its relative minor chord of E minor. But let's just go through it again. There's the chord shape. And there's the pentatonic. Coming next, we have the F major chord. So how would you play an F major chord on that part of the neck? And the answer is like this. And once again, we have a pentatonic pattern surrounding that. And then what we got next? Well, here's that troublesome B flat chord that would prevent us using just an E minor pentatonic over the entire chord sequence. So how would you play a B flat chord on this part of the neck? Like this is the answer. And then surrounding that B flat chord, you've got this pentatonic shape. And then after the B flat, we've got a D chord again, and we've already dealt with the D chord, but let's recap on it. This is how you would play a D major chord at this point on the neck, and this is the pentatonic pattern which surrounds that chord. And all you saw me do in that solo that you heard earlier was whichever part of the neck I was on, I was thinking, what chord shape would I need for this chord or that chord on this particular point on the neck? And then I just surround that chord shape with its associated pentatonic pattern. And you can daisy chain these together to cover the entire neck and play fluently and seamlessly over pretty much any set of chord changes that you might encounter. So give it a try. And as always, for my wonderful, wonderful Patreon supporters, that solo will be tabbed out in full, along with the jam track and that little demonstration and explanation that you've just seen there. That'll all be up on my Patreon page in the next few days, just as soon as I've had time to tab out the solo. So keep your eyes peeled. It's only $3 a month, and you get all of the tabs and jam tracks that I do in these YouTube videos. And if you kind of followed that and you thought, well, yeah, that kind of makes sense, I understand what he's going on about, but do you know what, I'm not sure I would have the kind of knowledge to be able to do that, then there's only really two reasons that could be the case. Either you aren't particularly comfortable or familiar enough with moving chord shapes up the neck, the C, A, G, E and D shapes up and down the neck to kind of generate a chord on any part of the neck, or maybe you aren't particularly confident with your pentatonic patterns. And if you want me to do a video on either or both of those topics, then just shout up. You can see how to get in touch with me there in the corner of the screen. That's where you need to go to send me a message. And, if enough people ask me for information on this topic, then I will do a video on said topic. So there you go. That's all you got to do if you need a little bit more guidance and advice on, pentatonics and caged and all of that sort of stuff. And that's pretty much it for today, folks. I'll just remind you that although today is Saturday, the weekend will come round soon enough once again. And you know what happens on the weekend? Friday, 5 p.m. UK time, we have our live stream. A little bit of a beery, chatty kind of get-together where we just kick the weekend off with a little bit of rest and recuperation, as it were. And I hope to see many of you there. Keep your eyes peeled for when that goes up. And if you fancy getting yourself a little fret zealot tuition aid, fantastic piece of kit that just lights up on the neck and shows you where to put your fingers to play many a fantastic thing, including a couple of my courses, which are available on the Fret Zealot app. If you're thinking of pulling the trigger on one of those and you're not quite sure, then maybe this discount code here will sway you a little bit. Just use the discount code on screen. The purchase link is in the description, and you'll get a little bit of money knocked off thanks to me. You're welcome. And with that, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you for your time. Stay safe, stay well, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now, folks.